What's happening, my friends? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. Now, as usual, before I get started, let me give a shout out to the JBT community. It's just boxing talk. We're a group of people who just love to talk boxing. And we're always looking for others to join us. And you don't have to have a podcast. The only requirement is you just have to love to talk boxing. That's all. Miss Cass, hashtag JBT. Define Irony 1. Good to see you again, my friend. Welcome, Define Irony 1. Mike Mazik. Salute, Mike. Salute to everyone. And welcome to another episode of Cat Sports, the Box Historian. Today, boxing in the military. And you know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Historian. And that's me, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing, the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it and can't get enough of it. How is everyone on this Tuesday afternoon edition of Cat Sports? Welcome to everyone. I see Define Irony back again. Salute. Glad to have you. Got another good show for you. We're going to be talking about boxing in the military today, mainly what was going on in boxing during the World Wars. We're going to look at some boxers that served in the military and also had good boxing careers. Of course, Joe Louis, you see him there in the middle. Jack Dempsey was in the Coast Guard. Of course, up toward this era, remember the Fighting Marine, Jamel Harry. Yep, gonna talk about him. Excuse me. And a few others. Early in the week. Excuse me, can't get my throat cleared up. Now let's look at what's happening the rest of this week. Still don't have nailed down tomorrow's show yet. That's usually a show that comes out of the chat. Look like I'm gonna have to do one that Remo gave me again. And then Thursday, we're gonna continue the history of the boxing in the States series with boxing in California. So that should be a good one because California has a deep history in boxing. And we're going to talk about those. Got a couple of big gems out there. We got Robert Garcia, Boxing Academy in Oxnard, California. And of course, Freddie Roach. I believe Freddie Roach is in Los Angeles. We're going to touch on them. And some boxers that came out of California. You know, Oscar come out of California. Of course, he's the profile Friday, the life and career of the Golden Boy himself, Oscar De La Hoya, this week. And couple of active guys, big names. Ryan Garcia, Devin the Dream Haney, Californians. Yeah, had pretty good boxing careers going on. A couple of young stars. They just went through what they went through. I think what is Ryan out for a year? Wow. He said they set him up. Did you see the latest on Ryan the other day? He said, I think somebody from Devin's camp subscribed some kind of nutrients or something to him. He said they set him up. The kid has a different story every week. What will he say next week? Ryan, just take your suspension and come back from it strong. That's all you can do now, And get back in there with Devin clean this time. And see if you can do the same thing to him, because I believe that the fight would have went the same way with or without whatever Ryan had in his system. If he had something in it, I think he would have still because PEDs didn't have anything to do with that left hook repeatedly landing on Devin. The Haney camp not being prepared for that left hook had everything to do with what happened. Not PEDs, but Ryan tested positive for him, and what happened. So. And we're in Slick Shakur Stevenson's fight week. Him and Autumn this Saturday. Actually, we have two cards. We have another card from Anaheim, California, too. I think it's William Zepeda and the guy that was in there gave Pitbull all that trouble. Can't think of his name right off. But yeah, that's Saturday too. And that's a great card, that Shakur card. Got the Davis brothers, Keyshawn and his brother on it. Abdullah Mason is on it. So yeah, we got a nice weekend of boxing to look forward to. But still early in the week. But Slick Shakur Stevenson versus Autumn fight week. And what happened last weekend, Bam went up and got his old belt back at 115. What was it, the WBC? I know whichever one it was, he had it before in a very good performance against Juan Francisco Estrada. Bam got knocked down for the first time in his career. In the post-fight interview, he said he always wanted to see how it felt to be on the mat. He said now he knows how it feels, and he didn't like it. It won't happen again. But Juan Francisco said he wanted the rematch. But I see the same thing happening. Bam will probably stop him again. I had said unanimous decision, but Mike Mazik got it right. Mike said last week Bam was going to stop him, and he stopped him. Bam is very accurate. Well, I always knew that, but wow. It's always amazing to see how accurate he is in that one round where he got the first knockdown. I believe it was the second. Might have been the third. I think it was the second. He was just couldn't miss that round. Wow. He was really piecing Juan Francisco up. Let's talk fashion. Remo #JBT in the building. We got another project. Let's talk fashion coming up tomorrow, Wednesday at 10 a.m. So we're looking forward to that one. Remo said he can't wait to bring it to us. I can't wait to see it. And we're going to have a little time at the end. Maybe we can get a little preview on it today. But yeah, fire podcast. And I love that segment, Fashion or Clash. Yeah. That is really a really good segment of it. Remo is our resident fashion expert. Yeah. I still don't agree with that rain suit that guy had on that time. Well, it looked like a rain suit, bright yellow rain suit. I don't know if Remo called that fashion or clashing. I'll call it clashing on that one. Yeah. But another fire let's talk fashion coming up tomorrow, 10 a.m. DJ or Beat Square. There's Trump. What's up, Trump? How are you? See Trump early in the week. Trump usually shows up for those profiles. Yeah, I think it was Trump that said Chocolatito had something coming up at a fight. Yeah, because him or Juan Francisco Estrada hadn't fought since 2022. The third fight of the trilogy. I thought they both were retired, but nope. We saw Juan Saturday. Chocolatito's supposed to be coming up, so yeah, that's good news. Chocolatito still got something left in the tank. We'll see. Coming up. We're going to get started in about 10 minutes. I always give a few more of my people time to get into the building. Like Lana Lee gets off at 2:30. Al Booger, Melanin Queen, usually shows up. Is my dollar sign still down there? Yeah. Yesterday was the first day being monetized. Yeah, how about that, Bam? Yeah, I thought Juan Francisco was gonna take him the distance trump, but like Mike Mason said, he stopped him, pieced him up. Yeah, that liver shot always gets you, man. Bam set him up nice. He was going upstairs repeatedly that round, and brought Juan Francisco's hands up. And because Bam was so accurate, man, Juan had to cover that head, and Bam caught him right in that side. And then the way Juan Francisco went down, I knew it was over, because he immediately hit the mat and started squirming. And a lot of times, more times on the body shot than the head shot, when the fighter goes down, they usually stay down, especially that level. Yeah, takes the wind out of you. You just can't function. There's no way you're going to get yourself back together by a 10 count. Just no way. And Juan didn't. Mr. Gumbo, a.k.a. Hot Grease in the building. Look like I done picked up some new friends this week. We got Define Arnie 1 back in the building. I think Mr. Gumbo is like third or fourth time back in here. Salute, Mr. Gumbo, a.k.a. Hot Grease. And I appreciate you and Define Arnie 1 for subscribing, because my subscriptions definitely went up yesterday. I really appreciate it. We had a clown in here last week, trolling, putting stuff in the chat every 2 minutes, and he didn't even subscribe, But Mr. Gumbo came right in the building and subscribed. And so did Define Arnie 1. And they both seem like knowledgeable boxing fans, the kind we like over here at JBT. So that's just great. Welcome back. And today is going to be boxing in the military. Like I was saying, we're going to talk about boxing during both world wars and some other things of boxing. A little bit about a couple guys. Like Floyd Patterson was in the Vietnam War, and another guy was a decorated Olympian. He got killed in Vietnam. Yeah, I got his name in my notes. We're going to talk about him too. We all know the Muhammad Ali situation with the military. I've talked about that many times. Joe Frazier wanted to go in the military, but I think he had some kind of medical reason why he couldn't enlist. Yeah, because the Ali Frazier situation, the pro-military people were all on Frazier's side. So I was wondering why Frazier didn't enlist. The military people loved him. They were against Ali because of what he did. And I found out that Joe Frazier wanted to enlist, but he had some kind of medical reason. I can't remember what it was that he couldn't go in. And be careful out there, Mr. Gumbo. I probably got your earpiece in there. Trump said the setup for that body shot was unreal, wasn't it? That was beautiful, wasn't it, Trump? Beautiful. And the way he set him up, he had it wide open, wide open, right up under them elbows. And Bam is so accurate, man. I can't get over how accurate he is. He was piecing him up that first knockdown, wasn't he? Couldn't miss. His fist was just bouncing off of Juan Francisco's head. Yeah. And you could tell. Now I called the decision before the fight last week. But once it started, those first couple of rounds, you could tell already that it wasn't going to go the distance. Bam was just hitting him too easy and wherever he wanted to. So yeah, you could tell early on that that Juan Francisco wasn't going to last. No, but he said he's going to apply for his rematch. Yeah, right after the fight. But I see the same thing happening. I'll predict stoppage for the second one. Yeah, going in because I can't see Juan going 12 rounds for Bam. And they touched on Bam and Monster. What y'all think about that? Bam and Monster. Because Bam is only 115. There's only one weight class in between them now. 118. But Monster's at 122. But as Bam goes up, I guess Monster will be going in the other direction too. So I don't know. But they mentioned it. That would be. I don't know about that one. Both of them are great, man. And I just can't call that one right now. Anybody got any thoughts on Bam versus the Monster? But you know what? They're talking about the Monster and Tank, and they're further apart than the Monster and Bam. So yeah, it could happen. I don't have any idea how that would go. Both are big punchers down there. Both are very accurate. So yeah, that would be a good one. Both can box. Like I said, both can punch. Both have high IQs, good footwork. Both can do it all in there, man. So that would be the boxing fans would win. I don't know who would win between Bam and the Monster, but I know the boxing fans would definitely be a big winner if we ever get that one. And like I just said, they're talking about the Monster and Tank, and the Monster and Bam is actually closer because there's only one weight class in between them. The Monster and Tank got two. They got a 126 and 130, but the Monster and Bam just 118. I would never see the Monster going down anymore, but Bam go up one more and maybe a catch weight, like 120 or something. So that would be a good one. Boxing fans would win big time. Bam Rodriguez versus Naoya Inoue. And don't have it in Japan, Please, Monster, come out of Japan for a big fight like that, man. Turkey Alley Sheik, get involved in it. Have it in Saudi Arabia. A neutral location. Bam is from the United States, Monster from Japan. Have it at a neutral site. I know one thing. I know who wouldn't be in Japan. Bam and Tank. The Monster and Tank would definitely not be in Japan. So yeah. But no, I can't call it a dream fight. My Bam and the Monster. That's got a good chance of happening. But how's everybody this Tuesday afternoon? I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do tomorrow's show. Going to be one of them shows Remo gave me. Remo said Tank did 350,000 pay-per-view. Yeah, that's not bad. Mom says Bam versus Inoue is going to be a great future fight. Inoue is nothing to play with. What weight would you think that would be at, Trump? Because as Bam goes up, gets to 122, the Monster probably will be gone, further up. Because, Bam's got to go through, he's just getting to 115, go through 118 to 122. The Monster's not going to wait there for him, so I don't know. But the Monster's got a good build where he might, he could stay at 122. One of those type of fighters. Not like a Devin or Ryan or somebody that's just growing like that. Plus, the Monster is in his 30s, right? So, yeah. By the time Bam gets to 122, Monster anyway might still be there. So that might not be too far in the future. I could see them making the Monster and Bam before a Monster and Tank fight. Yeah, for sure. But that's something to think about. I have no idea how it would go. No idea. It would just be a great matchup, though. Just don't have it in Japan. They might show up at Bam's hotel room with some cake. They said he showed up at Cool Boy's hotel room with a cake. Welcome to Japan. Here's a cake for you. Don't eat that cake, man. I'm not saying Cool Boy ate it. He just got beat up. Yeah. Monster just worked him over. No excuses. Cool Boy hadn't been in there since. That was July 15th, I believe. 22nd, the week before Earl and Bud. I think it was almost a year now. Yeah, Cool Boy has not been back in the ring since. But he'll be back. Just don't get back in there with Monster anymore. I don't see it going any different. Monster just got his number. Yeah. I don't see anybody at 126 right now beating Monster either. Choo Choo's not ready. Nowhere near ready for Monster. But Monster was at his fight, remember? And right after he was there to see Choo Choo, because right after his fight, what did Monster do? He got up and left. Got up and vacated the premises. He saw what he wanted to see. And he was watching intently too. But right now, yeah, I got Monster beating him. Okay, let's get ready to start talking about boxing in the military today. Like I said, touch on boxing during the World Wars. Some guys that served in the military and boxed. Ray Mercer, Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe was weird because he went into the Army Reserves after his boxing career. I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, after his boxing career was over, Riddick Bowe went into the Army Reserves. I just learned that yesterday. I did not know that. Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey in the building. What's up, Ray? You going to that fight this weekend, Ray? Shakur is fighting up there in New Jersey. I don't know if it's Trenton, but it's just said New Jersey. They can just do boxing. Will be in the house. Well, are you attending RP to your homeboy Shakur's fight coming up this weekend against Artem H? I'm not touching that last name. Artem H. All I know it starts with an H. But before we get started, let me remind you about the raffle we got coming up July 13th. Less than 2 weeks for a 55-inch color TV. Okay? Just send $10 to this cash app. $ JBT Network 1, all caps. Number 1. $ JBT Network, all caps, and put the number 1 behind it. Oh, you're not sure, RP? Okay. I'll be watching on ESPN. Yeah. So what's the situation with Shakur and the Ballfather? Is this his last fight with him? Did he re-sign anybody? What's the situation? Remo? Remo's usually up on that kind of stuff. So how many more fights does Shakur have with him? Or did he re-sign? I don't follow the business side too much. I follow what's going on now in history, but that business side, man, I'm not too much up on that. But it's part of the sport, so you know. But yeah, that's a good question. I have no idea how much time Shakur has left with the Ballfather. He'll probably resign. Okay. Let's go with the show. Boxing in the military. You see Joe Louis up there on the screen. We're going to talk about first military boxing during the World Wars. Okay. World Wars I and World Wars II. Now, Jack Dempsey caught a lot of flack because he didn't participate during World War I. But he had a hardship. He had a young wife he had to take care of, you know. So he was exempt from going. You know, they have exemptions like that. Like if you're an only child or you got one family member already serving, or you got a dependent that's dependent upon you. You know, you're exempt from going. That was Jack Dempsey's situation. He had a young wife that was dependent on him, but he did serve in the Coast Guard in World War II. Oh yeah, he redeemed himself. He says, last fight, no negotiations, and Bob ain't offer extension. Told him to see his market value. Okay. Well, T. Kerr got to put in a good performance tomorrow. That'll help. You know, can't have after that Dos Santos, all the people, you know, was on him. But you know, he didn't run. He just executed the sweet science of boxing. And you know, he just caught a lot of flack for it. But I think he's gonna make up for it tomorrow. Military boxing during the world wars and beyond. We'll be starting out with. Now, but how's everybody this Tuesday afternoon? Early in the week, moving toward another weekend of great boxing action. And don't forget the raffle. It's July 13th. You'll have it by the time that big August 3rd card rolls around. Watch Bud Crawford and Madrimov and Pitbull. Did they find another opponent for Virgil? Because I know him and Tim Tszyu, they're not having that one. I was looking forward to that one. But I would like to see both of them, you know, 100%. Plus Virgil, you know, he came off of that, what was it, rhabdomyolysis? Is that how you say it? Rhabdomyolysis, something like that. And coming off of that sickness of that long layoff, he had 2 fights, but he hadn't got out of the first round on either one of them. So, you know, we still don't know, you know. He had 2 early. The second one was what, like 30 seconds or something? Liver shot, remember? So, yeah, we still not sold on Virgil after that sickness and that long layoff. Haven't seen enough of it. But professional boxing promoters often advertise title fights as a war between the 2 fighters. Now, during World Wars I and II, boxing fights were organized among the troops, primarily Navy seamen. And that was to provide a form of recreation, to boost morale, and to relieve tension during the wars. Okay. Thomas Hill in the building. What's up, T. Hill? See, that's why I wait till 2:30, because I know I got all my people coming in, give them a chance to get in the building. And T. Hill showed right up at 2:30. Salute, T. Hill. You didn't miss anything but one paragraph. Now, yeah, during World Wars I and II, boxing fights were organized among the troops, okay, to boost morale and to relieve tension, you know, of being in the war, right? And the origin of the World War I fights was attributed to President Theodore Roosevelt, who was a boxer himself, okay? And he actively petitioned senior military officers to hold boxing matches between the troops, right? President Roosevelt himself was actively trying to get the senior military people to organize fights between the troops. And the fights also served as an athletic activity focused on the goal of bringing together men from different social and economic backgrounds, you know, because in a war, you know, all different types of people are thrown together, you know, and boxing was the way they looked at it as, like I said, relieving the tension and bringing people from different backgrounds together. Okay. Now, at the time, segregation was legal, okay, both in civilian life and in the United States Armed Forces. So interracial fights between the troops were not permitted. Okay? They didn't start interracial fights in the military until after 1948, after the executive order was signed by President Harry S. Truman. Okay? And that order abolished racial segregation in the United States Armed Forces. Now, back around the First World War, that wasn't in effect yet. Now, although many of the men had no formal boxing training, there was never a shortage of troops who were willing to lace up the gloves and box a few rounds, okay? They had plenty of people that wanted to get involved in these fights, okay? Now, there are no statistics on the number of fights that were held, but it is likely there were many, okay? Because of the amount of people that were applying to be involved in them. Now, after World War II, the armed forces branches, Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, and the Navy established their amateur boxing teams and held competition between the services. And the Armed Forces Boxing Championships provided a forum for the various military branches to compete against one another. And many other boxers that competed in these military competitions also competed in the Olympics. And some of them even pursued careers as professional boxers. Okay. Okay, that was a little about boxing in the military during World Wars I and World Wars II. Okay. Now, let's look at this little piece on Joe Louis, okay, who also put his boxing career on hold in the 40s during World War II because he actually went into the military. He didn't actually do any fighting, but he made some movies, and there was a lot of posters on him to get other people to enlist in the military, other boxers and civilians, okay? Bear with me for 1 second. Okay, yeah, Joe Louis. Now he took, I think he took between like 1942 and 1946. Took off from his boxing career to serve in the military. There's Joe Louis in the middle of this picture there. Okay. How did I get way down there? Joe Louis, from boxing gloves to combat boots. Okay? There's Joe again. BN Boxing News. Oh, BN Boxing News has put some color in the chat. Appreciate you, BN Boxing News. Says, I appreciate you and how you stay on the grind. Salute. Appreciate you, BN Boxing News. That's my third official super chat. BN Boxing News in the building. Salute. We're just talking about boxing in the military today. Something I never touched on, but it's a part of our boxing history. And that's what I do over here, boxing history. Because like I said yesterday, anything you like and interested in, knowing about the history can do nothing but make it better for you, okay? Knowing the history of anything, not just boxing. But since we love boxing, try to bring you up to date on the history, okay? Joe Louis, from boxing gloves to combat boots. Now, Joe Louis was boxing's heavyweight world champion when he joined the U.S. Army, okay? And fought for his country and his community. And like I said, he didn't do any actual fighting. Now, Americans had many heroes during World War II, Some lay under white crosses on distant shores. Others returned home, wounded beyond recognition. Many more were average young men who answered their country's call. Some carried rifles, others loaded large naval guns or flew aircraft. But one of America's favorite heroes fought with his fists. That was Joe Louis. Okay? When Joe Louis Barrow, known to America as Joe Louis, put on an army uniform in the early part of 1942, yeah, he cut his boxing. He stopped boxing in 1942 temporarily to go in the military. And when he put his army uniform on, he wasn't just another young African American. He was boxing's world heavyweight champion, and he had held that title for 5 years at that point, from 1937, when he joined the military. Okay. Now, Joe was born in Alabama in 1914. 7th of 8 children born to Monroe and Lily Barrow. His father was a sharecropper, and his father left home when Joe Louis was very young. And his mother married again, and his family grew because the guy his mother married had 6 children of his own. And remember, Joe was one of 8 already, okay? So they added 6 more to he was a widower. Joe Louis' mother married, so that's 14 now. And with the additional 6 children to feed and Fields to tend, Joe Louis had very little informal education. He'd been slow to develop, slow to talk and walk. And when he did, he spoke with a stutter, okay? He was considered a quiet, good-natured child who did as he was told and never made trouble. He was, simply put, an unremarkable young man. Now, years of bad farming combined with rampant racism and escalating violence began to pull many African Americans away from the South and farming. And in 1926, Louis and his family moved north to Detroit, where the auto industry drew hundreds of thousands in search of better work. There, Louis attended school, but by the 6th grade, he was underperforming and was sent to a trade school, where he found the curriculum suited him better than going to a regular school, okay? And times were hard, and by age 15, Joe Louis left school to help support his family. And it was in those years that an amateur boxer who was a friend of Joe's convinced him to spar with him. And that was the beginning of a historic career. And he took to boxing quickly. And by mid-1934, after several years of learning not only how to fight, but how to win, he won 50 out of 54 amateur fights, 43 of them by knockout. And he went pro on July 4th, 1934. In his first fight, he knocked out his opponent in the first round. And his career took off from there. Okay? And Joe Louis quickly became a hero to African American people. And his handlers knew that a black fighter walked a thin line in the 1930s, okay? Outspoken and flamboyant Jack Johnson, once the heavyweight champion, had pushed the line too far in his private life and had suffered for it, okay? So they made sure Louis wouldn't be another Jack Johnson. In fact, Joe Louis was Jack Johnson's opposite outside of the ring. He was already naturally reserved, saying little and smiling even less. And Black America came to love him as he brought them hope during the bleak days of the Depression, what's going on around that time. And in 1936, that's when Louis prepared to face his most famous opponent yet, German boxer Max Schmeling. Now, although Lewis had not yet fought for the heavyweight championship, he had already fought several former champions and beat them all. And his fans were confident that Schmeling would be the next victim, okay, of their beloved Brown Bomber. And the fight sold out Yankee Stadium in New York. And all of America listened. Black, white, everybody was listening to that fight because all of America got behind Joe Louis. Because, World War II hadn't started yet, and the Nazis were flexing their muscles over there, right? So all of America got behind Joe Louis. And Max Schmeling, actually, it wasn't known at that time, but Max Schmeling did not support the Nazis. He hated Nazism. That came out later. Now, when Louis beat former champions Primo Carnera and Max Baer, celebrations had broke out all across America in African American neighborhoods. But when he fought Max Baer, those celebrations were not heard that night. Louis and Schmeling went 12 rounds before Schmeling put Louis on the mat, and Louis did not get back up. But 1937 was a better year for Joe Louis. He learned from his loss to Schmeling, trained harder, and on June 22nd, he first faced the current heavyweight champion, Jim Braddock. Fight lasted 8 rounds before Louis knocked Braddock out. Black America erupted in celebration. He was their hero, their champion, an example of what many of them felt they could be in a world of equality. But for Joe Louis, it was only half a victory, okay? Melanin Queen 27 in the building. Salute Melanin Queen 27. Just talking about boxing in the military. Touching on Joe Louis right now. We're getting around to his military time, but just leading up to it. He put his boxing career on hold in 1942. And we're getting this. Salute Melanin Queen 27. I was talking about Joe Louis in 42, but it's Melanin Queen 27. Salute. Okay, but anyway, after he beat Jim Braddock for the championship, he only called it half a victory because what had happened he said that he would not call himself heavyweight champion until he got a rematch and beat Max Schmeling. Okay. Despite the magnitude of being the heavyweight boxing champion, Louis wanted another shot at Max Schmeling. And that chance came in 1938 with the rematch scheduled for Yankee Stadium again, okay, June 22nd. And for millions of people, this was not just a boxing match. It was a literal fist fight of ideologies. A Black American boxer against a friend of Hitler, but not really. But everybody thought at that time that, Max Schmeling represented the Nazis, but he really didn't. That was found out later. Him and Joe Louis became best of friends. Max Schmeling was actually a pallbearer at Joe Louis's funeral, okay? They became very close. But at the time, it was a literal fist fight of ideologies. A Black American boxer against a friend of Hitler, an example of the so-called German master race. That's what everybody looked at Max Schmeling as, okay? And by 1938, tension was growing between the United States and Germany, okay? The 1937 heavyweight championship between Schmeling and Braddock was canceled due to threats of boycott. And there was a fear that if the German boxer took home the championship, Louis would never get the chance to fight him, okay? Now, despite heavy propaganda against Schmeling, portraying him as the epitome of Nazi evil, it was unbeknownst to the world The Smelling had never joined the Nazi Party. This is what I was talking about. It was unbeknownst to the world. The Smelling had never joined the Nazi Party. It had saved the lives of 2 Jewish teenagers during the Kristallnacht raids. Okay, the world didn't know that. And the hype around the fight grew as the date approached, June 22nd. Americans who had supported Smelling in 1936 against this black boxer, now these Americans were swept up by the political wave, washing over the match, and turned against Smelling. They got on Lewis's side. And before the fight, Joe Louis was called to the White House by President Roosevelt. And President Roosevelt put more pressure on him by telling him that the free world was riding on him winning this fight. Okay? Yeah, just think about that. You got this boxing match and you get called to the White House by the president to tell you he depended on you to win it. Okay? Put the politics into it. Now, this fight drew 70,000 people to Yankee Stadium and an estimated 60 million Americans, nearly half the population, tuned in via radio, okay? Along with 100 million more worldwide. This was a big event at that time, okay? The bell rang, the fight began. Just 2 minutes and 4 seconds later, it was over. Joe Louis didn't play with his food. 2 minutes, 4 seconds into the first round, it was over. Louis knocked Smelling down 3 times before the referee declared a technical knockout and ended the fight. Fearful that any further blows would be fatal. Joe Louis was the heavyweight champion, and America went wild. Germany went silent. A testament to Lewis's performance was the silence in German media. The win was too definitive to be disputed. 2 minutes and 4 seconds into the first round, okay? Now, Louis was riding the high of defending his heavyweight championship. He continued to box as the world sped towards war. In October 1940, Joe Louis registered for the draft. He was eager to do his part for his country, and his first opportunity came the next year when his manager suggested he donate his winnings from his upcoming fight against, I don't know who that was against, but his manager suggested that he donate his winnings to the U.S. Navy Relief Society. Louis agreed, and he was met with backlash from a large part of the African American community, okay, because of the situation in the United States, you know, and they wanted him to donate it to the U.S. Navy Relief Fund. And the U.S. Navy was the most staunchly segregated branch of the U.S. Armed Forces, okay? That's why Black America was complaining so much about Louis making that donation. And many Black Americans felt betrayed that Joe Louis would donate funds to an organization that relegated African Americans to servant roles as messmen and cooks. But Louis was undeterred. Louis said, "No place else in the world could a one-time black patent picker like me get to be a millionaire. I love this country like I love my people." And the controversy was forgotten before the fight when Japanese forces attacked the U.S. fleet at Pearl Harbor. Americans were all in the war together. And Joe Louis became an even greater hero. Now, he won that fight and he donated $89,000 to the Navy Relief Society the day after he enlisted in the United States Army. Okay? He enlisted in the Army the day after that fight. Now, okay, Louis went to boot camp, but was never destined for combat, okay? His greatest value to the war effort was in his popularity, right? in a time where few, if any, photos of black soldiers in uniform were printed. A poster of Joe Louis became one of the most popular for war-bond advertisements. Dressed in full combat gear, wielding a rifle with a field bayonet. And I passed that picture by this morning. I did not, I passed it by. But anyway, Joe Louis was dressed in full combat gear, wielding a rifle with a fixed bayonet. The poster quoted a line from a speech Louis had given at a fundraiser. We're going to do our part and we'll win because we're on God's side. The slogan became widely popular, boosting the idea that America was on the right side of the fight. And the only fighting Louis would do during the war would be in the ring. Now, he defended his title again in March 1942, raising money for the Army Emergency Relief Fund. Okay? Now, although there still was no desire amongst military and political leaders to integrate the armed forces, they understood the need to appeal to African Americans, right? And they didn't want to integrate the military. Senior political and military leaders still didn't want to integrate the military, but they understood they needed African Americans to support the war effort, okay? And even more importantly, to portray America as a unified country against the Nazi tyranny, regardless of what the truth at home was, okay? To this end, Louis was given the role of goodwill ambassador. Tim Layton in the building. Tim Layton class. Tim Layton hashtag JBT, that is. Little boxing in the military today, Tim. Touching on Joe Louis and his part he played in the military. We just did a little brief look at his career before he went into the military. Now he's just getting in there and kind of using them as a tool to get others to join. Other boxers and Americans, primarily get other Black Americans to support the war effort. Okay, but salute Tim Layton. Okay, now, the senior political and senior military leaders wanted to portray America as a unified country against Nazi tyranny, regardless of what the truth really was in the United States, okay? And to this end, Louis was given the role of goodwill ambassador. The Army formed a traveling group of Black boxers which toured the United States and Europe. Now, if he had an issue with an all-Black boxing group, Louis never spoke up. He did, however, refuse to box in front of segregated audience, okay? Joe Louis said he wasn't going to do that, okay? He wasn't going to box in front of segregated audiences. And he never did. Stuck to his morals. And this show of traveling Black boxers was a hit. A mix of boxing and singing and dancing, courtesy of Sugar Ray Robinson. And Sugar Ray was a part of it. Sugar Ray was young at the time. He wasn't a famous pound for pound great at the time, okay? In 1943, the tour spent 100 days on the road in the United States, okay, 100 days. By 1944, Louis was in Europe, entertaining the troops and shaking the hand of wounded men from the Normandy campaign, okay? In Europe, entertaining troops, shaking hands of the wounded men from the Normandy campaign. Okay, that was a big one, Normandy. In his book, Joe Louis, Randy Roberts explained the impact of Louis's visits to troops, quoting one GI who watched Louis perform and later wrote, "No movie star has ever been greeted by our fighting men with more enthusiasm than that displayed when the brown bomber got into action." Okay? Now check this out. Listen to this story. Listen to this. When Joe Louis visited one GI whose eyes had been seriously hurt in the fighting, He asked the nurse to remove his bandages because he just wanted one look at the brown bomber, he pleaded. He said, I will take my chance with my eyesight, okay? They wasn't supposed to take the bandage off because he could lose his eyesight, but he said, I'll take my chances on losing my eyesight just to get one look at the brown bomber. That's how much they loved Joe Louis. It was really a hit with the troops. Now, 3 o'clock already. I've been on here like 10, 15 minutes. I thought it was like 2:15. Wow. Okay, let's continue. Now, behind the scenes, Louis used the information gathered from talking to black troops to encourage positive changes in the military. He even stepped in to help future baseball star Jackie Robinson when Robinson knocked out a white officer's front teeth. Wow. Robinson had stood up to the officer after he made racist remarks. Now, Louis was able to intervene, keeping Robinson from being court-martialed, or worse. And Robinson was allowed to continue officer candidate school. It was just another example of how Joe Louis was considered a savior of African Americans during the war. He had the respect to stand up for his fellow man and the influence to make a difference. Louis's way of helping was in line with his personality. There were no loud speeches, no public displays, and no letters written. He would simply step in and ask a favor, or make the request himself. And Louis is credited with helping to desegregate Army buses quietly and successfully. He didn't want any kind of credit. He always did things behind the scenes. A lot of things that was attributed to Joe Louis, we would never even know about because he didn't want the credit for them. He didn't care who got the credit as long as change was made. Okay? Joe Louis. Now, despite his reserved personality, Louis appeared in several films during the war, including Irving Berlin's This Is the Army and The Negro Soldier. Yeah, that's a very good movie, The Negro Soldier. Anybody haven't seen that? That is very good. And Joe Louis is in that one too. And it was made with the hope of soothing growing racial tensions in the United States. Louis was a central feature in the latter film, The Negro Soldier. Highlighting his fight with Smelling in 1938, it played up the war as a continuation of the fight between the two. Produced by Frank Capra, The Negro Soldier portrayed African Americans in a way rarely seen at the time, as patriotic and thoughtful, and with more personal depth than most contemporary portrayals of African Americans. An Army film, it challenged segregation in the Army and in America. Louis was once again a champion for his people and his country. Okay, now, if America had liked Louis before the war, they loved him in 1945. He was awarded the Legion of Merit, and the citation read in part, Staff Sergeant Burrell has entertained 2 million soldiers by frequent boxing exhibitions, which entailed considerable risk to his boxing future as the champion heavyweight of the world. But he willingly volunteered such action rather than disappoint the soldiers who desired to see him in the ring. Louis was discharged in 1945, a hero to many, and ready to maintain his heavyweight title, which he did until his retirement in 1949. Now, he returned for a few matches, but lost his final fight to fellow Army veteran, Rocky Marciano. And we're going to touch on The Rock, too, next. Yeah, The Rock was in the Army. The Brown Bomber retired for good, but remains one of America's most beloved boxers, a people's champion in hard times, and an example of a generation that rose up and overcame the challenges of the Great Depression and World War II. The Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. Okay? Now let's talk about The Rock. Yep, The Rock served in the military. He sure did. Yeah. Matter of fact, There is The Rock. That's him. Rocky Marciano. Let me get that up for you. Bear with me for a minute. Hope everybody enjoying the show. I'm enjoying bringing it to you. There you at, Rob. There we go. Okay, bear with me for a minute. I had it ready. I gotta do it again. Wow. Give me like 2 seconds. Okay. Sports Heroes. It's from the series called Sports Heroes. Very, there it is right there. Very good series. Just Google Sports Heroes and it will give you all kinds of good stuff. We're going to talk about Rocky Marciano for a little bit. One of my favorites. One of my absolute favorites. Wait a minute. I'm having some issues here. Don't leave. I'm going to get it. I just had it before I got started. I thought that was it. Here we go. The Rock. Did I see him on the screen with his combat helmet on? Now, sports heroes who served, okay? This Rocky Marciano was the undisputed champion. The undefeated boxing champ who served in World War II. Rocky Marciano. Okay? Yeah, I do too, define anyone. I always defend him when people say he was fighting people past their prime, because when he fought Joe Louis was the #1 contender, and he was on an 8-fight winning streak. And when he fought Jersey Joe, how can you say Jersey Joe was past his prime? Jersey Joe was the heavyweight champion of the world. And when he fought Archie Moore, after Rock beat Archie Moore had 30 more fights, he only lost 1. So yeah, hardcore boxing news. What's up, Jay Hardcore? Give that man his props. But let's talk about Rocky Marciano's service to the military. In the military, not only undefeated boxing champion, he was served his country. I did not know that neither until yesterday. I'm learning too. But Rocky Marciano. Yeah, that's him too, with his combat helmet on. Rocky Marciano is the only heavyweight professional boxer to have finished his career undefeated. He also holds the record for the highest knockout to win ratio in world heavyweight title fights, 86% knockout ratio. He knocked out every man he faced in title fights, by the way. Now, he had a title fight with Charles, and he didn't knock him out. And he didn't have to give him a rematch because Rocky was the champion. But he gave Ezra Charles a rematch. And the next time he knocked him out. It's probably why he gave him a rematch, because he was the only one in a championship fight that he hadn't knocked out. So he said, I got to knock this guy out. But anyway, he gave himself his name because his real name was Rocco Francis Marchigiano. And he said it was hard to pronounce by boxing promoters and sportscasters, so he shortened it up to Marciano. Now, both of his parents were immigrants from Italy. Now, in March 1943, The Rock was drafted into the army to serve in World War II. He was stationed in Wales in the United Kingdom, where he helped ferry supplies across the English Channel to Normandy, France, after the June 6, 1944 invasion. Okay? Helped ferry supplies to Normandy. Wow. Jay says his grandfather fought heavyweight in the military. Okay. Jay Hardcore's grandfather fought heavyweight in the military. Now, while awaiting discharge, Marciano represented the Army and won the 1946 Amateur Armed Forces Boxing Tournament. In March 1946, he received the honorable discharge at Fort Lewis, Washington, where he was stationed. On September 23, 1952, Marciano, then 29 years old, took on the world heavyweight champion, Jersey Joe Walcott in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, throughout most of the fight, Walcott was ahead on points and even dropped Marciano in the first round. But in round 13, Susie Q found the mark. Nicknamed his right hand Susie Q. Marciano knocked out Walcott and became the new heavyweight champion. Now, some thought Marciano couldn't repeat his performance. So, him and Jersey Joe had a rematch on May 15th, 1953 in Chicago. This time, The Rock knocked Walcott out in the first round. Now, his next win came in New York City against Roland LaStarce on September 24th, 1953. In the 11th round of that fight, Marciano was victorious with a technical knockout. The next two fights were against former world heavyweight champion Ezzard Charles. That's what I was talking about. Now, Marciano won the first fight on points at Yankee Stadium, June 17, 1954. They gave him a rematch, September 17, 1954, back at Yankee Stadium. This time, Marciano knocked out Charles in the 8th round. Okay? On May 16, 1955, in San Francisco, Marciano went up against Don Cockell from the United Kingdom, who was also the boxing champion of Europe. The Rock knocked him out in the 9th round. His last fight was against, I guess he was the old mongoose by that time, Archie Morgan. You know, he was the mongoose, then he fought so long, they said, Archie, we got to call you the old mongoose. So I guess by 55, he was probably half mongoose, half old mongoose by then. But anyway, September 21st, 1955, back at Yankee Stadium, Rock must have liked fighting at Yankee Stadium. He knocked the old mongoose out in the 9th round. Knocked out everybody he fought in championship fights, see? On April 27th, 1956, The Rock announced his retirement at age 32, finishing his career at 49 wins, no losses. I think 43 was by knockout. The Rock. Okay. Now, Jack Dempsey also served in the military. Let's touch on that real quick. Jack Dempsey. Okay. And then we're going to look at some guys. Jamel Herring. Riddick Bowe. I told you Riddick Bowe joined the Army Reserve after his boxing career. Ain't that weird? After his boxing career. Riddick joined the Army Reserve. That's crazy. I don't know what was up with that. After his boxing career. I got to find Jack Dempsey. Bear with me for a second. Hope everybody enjoying themselves. I'm enjoying bringing it to you. Where is it? Okay, 1, 2, 3. It should be number 4. I think it's on the back. 2. Here it is right there. Okay. Again, I told you about this series called Sports Heroes Who Serve. It's a very good series. About boxers that served in the military. Like Jay Hardcore's grandfather. He was a heavyweight. See, he was a heavyweight, right, Jay? Wow. My wife's father was a boxer in the military. I think she said he got knocked out his first fight and he was 0-1 for his career. My wife's father was 0-1. He got knocked out his first fight and retired. She must not be listening. Isn't that something? He got knocked out his first fight and retired. But he went up them steps and got between them ropes. So I'm sorry for laughing. Okay. Yeah, Jack Dempsey served. It is Jack right there. It's Jack. Now, that's Jack in the middle there. I'm gonna keep track of the chat. Don't want to miss anybody. Yeah, Army. Well, Jay said he just found out 3 years ago. I think you told me that before, Jay. I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, kind of familiar. Now, during World War II, Brooklyn, New York was home to the Coast Guard's Manhattan Beach training station, where recruits were sent for basic training, right? The physical education regiment at Manhattan Beach was first class, featuring professional instructors in boxing, wrestling, track and field, and judo. Heading the powerhouse boxing program was Coast Guard Commander Jack Dempsey, who was the world boxing champion from 1919 to 1926. Yeah, not at that time. Former world boxing champion. Okay. Okay. Yeah. There were a number of champion boxers under Dempsey's tutelage, some of whom also served as instructors for the training program. Okay. Among them, Lou Jenkins. There's Lou. Among them was Lou Jenkins, who joined the Coast Guard in December 1942 after serving briefly in the Army. Jenkins participated in the North Africa, Sicilian, and Italian campaigns in 1943. At the time, the Coast Guard operated landing craft and other vessels used for amphibious assaults and transport. Jenkins' vessel was tank landing ship number 17. He manned the ship's guns, including a 20 millimeter that he used to shoot at attacking German fighter aircraft. By April 1944, Jenkins was stationed in England. Around that time, his brother Pete, an amateur boxer, also joined the Coast Guard and was stationed near Long Beach, California. Jenkins participated in the June 6, 1944 D-Day landings on the beaches of Normandy. Still aboard LST-17, which was completely manned by Coast Guardsmen, okay? LST-17 supported the landings of British and Canadian troops on Gold Beach during the initial days of the invasion. He did serious time in there. Of all the landings, Jenkins later said that the one at Salerno, Italy, was the most difficult. He said, Salerno beachhead was the hardest to take because the Germans had stuff to fight with. By May 1945, Jenkins had returned stateside, serving with the Coast Guard in Oakland, California, where he was arrested after a fight in a bar. In June 1945, he was assigned to a Coast Guard unit in Hawaii. He was honorably discharged from the Coast Guard Separation Station in New Orleans, Louisiana, October 27, 1945. That night, he was robbed of his $60 wristwatch and $100 while sleeping at a bus station, waiting to go home. Wow. After that man served his country like that, they robbed him. I'll tell you, man, that's bad. Probably had his army uniform on and everything, laying there sleeping. But another guy, Lou Ambrose, another boxer, served in World War II. There's Lou. No, that's not the same person. Lonnie Lee, hashtag JBT in the building. What's up, Lonnie? Lonnie Lee, hashtag JBT. You must have been in here, Lonnie. Sorry I didn't see you come in, because Lonnie gets off at 2:30. Yeah. I can't believe it's 20 after 3. I only been on like 10 minutes. I thought it was like 10 minutes after 2. Wow. This time flies. Lou Ambrose. Another champion fighter who served in the Coast Guard was Lou Ambrose, the world lightweight boxing champion from 1936 to 1940. On May 10th, 1940, Ambrose defended his title against Jenkins the other guy that I just talked about. Jenkins scored an upset when he knocked out Ambrose in the third round at New York's Madison Square Garden. On February 28th, 1941, Ambrose fought a rematch with Jenkins, but he again went down in defeat. It was around that time that Ambrose decided to join the Coast Guard. Now, while Jenkins deployed to the European theater, Ambrose, after having enlisted in the Coast Guard, February 19, 1942, he served in Manhattan Beach as boxing and physical fitness instructor, along with Jack Dempsey, right? With him serving in the Coast Guard at Manhattan Beach was Ambrose's cousin, who was also a boxer, okay? And his name was, what was his name? His name was Marty Servo. And I could have sworn I had a picture of Marty. There's Marty Servo right there. Yeah. That's Marty. He was Lou Ambrose's cousin, also a boxer. Served at the same Coast Guard station with him. And his cousin, Marty Servo, evened the score with Jenkins for him. Servo fought Jenkins on February 17th, 1942 in Philly. Servo won a 10-round decision as Ambrose watched from ringside. Ambrose was at the fight. He watched his cousin beat the man that had knocked him out twice. Okay. And there was a lot of patriotism that came from the boxing ring, too. On June 15th, 1944, Ambrose auctioned the boxing gloves worn when we regained the title from Henry Armstrong in 1939 while he beat Henry. The gloves fetched $31,000 at a war-bond rally in Schenectady, New York. Ambrose was honorably discharged from the Coast Guard as the Chief Petty Officer at the Brooklyn Separation Center, August 30th, 1945. Okay. Gus Levinovich also served. There's Gus. Okay, I said his name wrong. Gus Lesnovich. He was the world light heavyweight champion in 1941. Okay, and Gus held that title for 7 years. He also served in the Coast Guard during the war, enlisting on February 27, 1942. After a number of stateside assignments, Gus served in England in 1944. Then in 1945, he served in New Guinea, New Caledonia, and then became the physical fitness director at a base on the island of Leyte in the Philippines. He was honorably discharged on October 8, 1945. Walter Lesnovich, his brother, served as a merchant marine engineer. His ship was torpedoed in the North Atlantic in late fall of 1942, and he was lost at sea. Whatever the attraction between the champion fighters and the open sea remains a mystery. What is certain is that sportsmanship and patriotism were partners in World War II, okay? And Floyd Patterson, there's Floyd, also served. There's Floyd Patterson, okay? Now Floyd, okay, let me find Floyd. There it is. Floyd Patterson, world heavyweight boxing champion, served as an escort officer for Marines in Vietnam in the summer of 1967. Floyd Patterson. Ray Mercer also served in the military. Remember Ray Mercer, everybody? Mm-hmm. Lonnie, you said he's home from work. Okay. That none of those lights caught you, Lonnie? You made it straight all the way in? Because Lonnie usually texts from the red light on the way home. Ray Mercer. Sorry for the paper right. There's Ray Mercer. That's Ray on the screen. Ray Mercer, an Olympic gold medalist and former professional boxer who served in the U.S. Army and had 2 daughters who also became U.S. Army reservists. Ray Mercer. Okay. There's Riddick. Riddick Bowe. I told you about Riddick. Riddick went in the military after his boxing career. Ain't that crazy? Retired from boxing after the Andrew Galata fights. He joined the United States Marine Corps Reserve, Riddick Bowe. Who could forget the Fighting Marine? Anybody recognize him on the left? The Fighting Marine. Jamel Herring. I didn't give anybody a chance to put it in. Yeah, Jamel Herring. But before Jamel, we had this decorated Olympian, Robert Carmody. He was an American boxer who won a bronze medal in the 1964 Summer Olympics, flyweight division. Carmody was killed in action while serving in the United States Army in the Vietnam War. Okay? Carmody is the only known U.S. Olympic boxer to win a medal and be killed in combat. Robert Carmody. Remo says military comes with pension and medical coverage. Boxing doesn't. That's probably why Riddick went in there, huh, Remo? Boxing was over. He didn't have anything else coming, so Riddick said, let me go in the military right quick. And now finally the Fighting Marine. Remember they introduced the Fighting Marine, Jamel Herring. Jamel Herring. He was the Marine who won a silver medal in the 2010 World Military Games and a gold medal at the 2011 and 2012 Armed Forces Championships. He was also the captain of the U.S. Olympic boxing team at the 2012 Summer Olympics. Okay? And he was the first active duty Marine to qualify for the U.S. Olympic boxing team since 1992. So he was still in the Marines when he did that. Herring went on to become a world champion boxer at the professional level, holding the WBO Junior Lightweight Championship from 2019 to 2021. He lost it to Slick Shakur Stevenson, who fights this weekend. Yeah. And you know, the Olympics coming up in 2024, the Cuban women will be in boxing for the first time ever. I did not know that. Yeah, first time ever. And there's a rumor going around, people saying that boxing will be taken out of the Olympics, but that's not true. Okay, now it's going to be in 2024, and in 2028, the organization, because the International Olympic Committee governs the Olympics, and then for each sport they have a certain governing body, and the body that governs Olympic boxing is no longer being recognized by the IOC, and if they don't have another governing body in place by early 2025, the year after this Olympics, then it will not be in the 2028 Olympics. But the good thing is there's an organization called the World Boxing Federation that has applied to govern boxing in the Olympics. So it very well could be in, if they're approved by early 2025, it could be in the 2028 Olympics. But if they don't have another governing body in place and it's not in 2028, that still does not mean it is permanently eliminated from the Olympics. All they got to do is have another governing body in place by the year after the 2028 Olympics, and it will return in 2032. But when you hear somebody say boxing has been eliminated from the Olympics, it's not true, okay? It's not true. Now, it could potentially could not be a part of 2028, but that still don't mean it doesn't return in 2032, okay? Yeah, that's the story on that. But yeah, the Cuban women, I did not know that. They will be in boxing for the first time. I got a little something about that. For the first time in these Olympics coming up this summer, right? Yeah. This summer. Wow, this is an Olympic year. Yeah, let me get that up for you. It don't even seem like it. I think it starts this month, right? The Olympics. Later on this month. Or is it August? Yeah. Oh, man, I can't never find that what I'm looking for. But yeah, Cuban women will be in the Olympics for the first time in 2024. Yeah. But how's everybody doing? I hope you enjoyed the show. I haven't nailed down what I'm gonna do for tomorrow, but I know Thursday it's usually a show I take out of the chat. Remo got me covered. I got a few more he gave me. Thursday will be the history of the boxing in the States series continues, and it's boxing in California. You know, little history in boxing. California has a deep history in boxing, so that should be a good one. And then we're gonna talk about those two big time gyms they got out there. We got Robert Garcia. His gym is in Oxnard, California, and also Freddie Roach got that big time gym in LA, right? Boxing history in California, some of the other significant events that occurred in boxing in California, some boxers that came from California, Oscar, and we got a couple big time, big name active boxers. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, probably touch on them that they just went to. And then Friday, profile day, is the golden boy himself, Oscar, because you know we did his buddy B-Hop last week. You may say last year. So Oscar will be the profile this week. I'm gonna drop the link in case anybody wants to come up. So we got like a half hour before the voice comes on. Yeah, here we go. Cuban women. No, my eyes ain't fair looking. Cuban women qualify for the Olympics for the first time in 2024. That's crazy. I just thought, you know, they always had a Cuban women's boxing team. I guess they did, but they just didn't fight in the Olympics. Wow. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Okay. Now, this is just a year after the country approved the presence of female boxers in pre-Olympic competitions. Cuba has invited two boxers likely to be the national champions, Legnis Calais and Jacqueline Stornelli, to the event in Italy in February. And 2 places for Paris 2024 are at stake. Because you know, Cuba is a powerhouse when it comes to Olympics, amateur boxing, right? And they allowed women to participate in pre-Olympic competition in 2022 for the first time. And until then, women were banned from boxing in Cuba. But now that the ban has been lifted, the authorities will send 2 boxers to the February event in Italy, where 2 spots for the 2024 Paris Olympics will be up for grabs. So there ain't no guarantee they're gonna be in there. They still gotta win those 2 spots. But yeah, that's crazy. I did not know that. Well, you like the music? Fine Arnie one? Yeah. I appreciate you. We got a new, we got this JBT. We got a whole bunch of shows over here in the JBT. We find Arnie one. If you like this one, just boxing talk. We got hardcore boxing news at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. We got the 8 o'clock hangout every Friday night at 8. We got Just Do Boxing at 4 p.m. Follows me every day. We got the Rise podcast at 9 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday. We got Let's Talk Fashion. Comes on every Wednesday at 10 a.m. It's a fire show. We got a show called The Angry White Men. I believe it's Tuesdays and Fridays. I know Friday is around 10. I don't know the time on Tuesday. Prison Talk with Tommy, that's Coach. BN Boxing News, Casual's Corner, Aunt McQueen, and Thomas Hill just break down all kinds of things concerning boxing. Yeah, the JBT. So check out some of these other shows we got here, Define Arnie One. But I appreciate you coming back here. You know, like to see knowledgeable boxing fans join the show. I'm gonna put the link in since we got 25 minutes to go. Okay, let me quiet down for a minute. Gotta get this link right the first time. I see Define Arnie One. I thought you got a JBT named Dre Finest. I thought when I saw your name, I said, oh, Dre Finest. No, that's Define Arnie One. He was here yesterday. Yeah, this is boxing history. Just like I said earlier, you know, anything that you enjoy it much better if you know the history of it, you know? And not just history. I talk about all aspects of boxing. I had shows on referees, judges, sanctioning bodies, promotional companies, just everything. Like we did, like yesterday when you first came in, we was talking about, what did we talk about yesterday? The hook. Yeah, the hook. Right. The hook in boxing. People seem to like those shows when I do punches because the jab, I got 900 and something views. And then when I did the show on the counter punch, I got almost 400. So, yeah. But boxing history, that's why they call me the box historian. Man. Yeah, Cash Sports, the box historian, bringing you all that boxing history. And boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it and can't get enough of it. I'm trying to get this link in case anybody want to hit it. BVO ain't in here. You want a lively panel talk, get BVO on it because, you know, I wish he was in here today so he'd come here, I could cook him, but he ain't in here. So, yeah. Another fire channel of the JBT, BVO Boxing TV. Mm-hmm. Likes to keep controversy going. I kicked him out once already. But the executive producer, Miss Cass, got on me. So I can't kick him out no more. You know, I might lose my job. Found another box story. Okay. There it is. All right. Yeah, we got Just Do Boxing coming up in about 20 minutes. He lets you know about everything going on in boxing currently and gives you that balanced, unbiased view of it. Okay. And speaking of Just Do Boxing, we got Slick Shakur Stevenson in action this weekend in New Jersey. Yeah. Oh, Lonnie Lee said he'll get him next time. Okay. So Miss Cass can't say nothing about that. I'll say Lonnie did it. I'll give you a signal. I'll put a star or something in the chat. That's the signal to kick him out. Okay. I'll put a K in the chat. That's the signal to kick him out. Okay. Yeah. But no, being boxing news is good people though. Yeah. But he is good for panel. Oh, there's Remo. Yeah, we got Let's Talk Fresh coming up tomorrow. What's up, Remo? Let me get this stuff out the way. There we go. What's up, Remo? You in the building, Remo?
Yo.
Oh, there you go. Couldn't hear you for a minute there. What's happening? You was talking about this. What's going on?
I really came up here to give you your flowers, man.
Okay, appreciate it. And you was talking about this fire hashtag Let's Talk Fashion yesterday too. Remember?
Oh yeah.
You said you couldn't wait to bring it to us.
Yeah, this one is good. This one is good, man. Just say, let's just say, man. Forget me first. I want to give you your roses, man. For
Okay.
somebody who puts on a show once a week, compared to
Mm-hmm.
having to do all this research and know what it takes to put on a show with information and the truth and
Yeah.
not a bunch of regurgitated BS, you doing your thing, man. Got
Well, I
monetized
appreciate it.
and all of that, man. Congrats,
I
man.
appreciate it. Thank you. You'll be
Yeah,
there soon, very soon.
don't
The way
worry,
you going,
man.
you moving like a rocket ship.
I take my baby steps, man. I let y'all take the lead. But
Yeah.
the show tomorrow, man, it's something different. So basically, we sat down, somebody my age, my race, everything,
Mm-hmm.
my time frame of generation and everything. And
Yeah.
he's actually a producer. He works on a couple
Okay.
projects, and he ended up working on All Access with Showtime.
Oh yeah, that's that one. That's tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's tomorrow. He worked so we got a chance. He worked with the Charlos. He worked with AB.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked with Canelo. He's worked with Danny Garcia, Floyd. So he's been around.
Okay.
And just
Cool.
getting the perspective of somebody my age and the same kind of crap we into, to hear him
Right.
talk about, just being around these guys was, it was just enlightening. We talked a little bit of fashion, a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
sports, and then, the what it takes to really work in an industry like that. So,
Oh man, that's gonna be good.
yeah. Y'all got a good hour coming up. A good hour sit down. Full hour.
Oh, it's an hour? Oh
Yeah,
man.
you gotta go once.
Okay.
Make sure everybody uses the bathroom. Don't miss out on nothing. The
It'll
format
be
is
at
good.
10 a.m. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And we sat down in the studio, in a professional studio,
Mm-hmm.
3 camera setups. It was just a good time. So I just really hope everybody enjoys this, for real.
Okay. What's up, T Hill?
Hey man, I'm sitting here listening to you get your flowers, hearing my man Remo plant his flowers, man. You telling
Yeah.
him he going on a trip on his favorite rocket ship flying through the
Yeah.
sky.
Yeah.
You know what
He's
I'm
on
saying?
fire,
T,
man.
how you
Yeah.
doing, T?
It was good with you, Remo, man. That sounds like fire that you got right there. I can't
Mm-hmm.
wait. I can't wait, man.
This one was fun. I ain't gonna lie. Like we sat there and we had a conversation, but I let them go because sometimes you gotta let people get it off their chest
Right.
and tell their journey. So we played a little bit with the fashion talk, and I just I think I got caught up being intrigued with the storyline, especially somebody my age range, where it's just like it became real enjoying to hear, success coming from our demographic without
Yeah,
having to, bite into and feed into, politics and shit like that,
no doubt. No doubt about that.
Is he a New Yorker, Rebo?
Yeah, he's from Queens. He's from Queens.
Okay.
I gave him a little shit about being from Queens too. You'll see. You'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for that.
This one's gonna be good, man. For real, man.
So you must have just did good when you came back, didn't
You said he was with the All Access team too, right?
Yeah, he was one of the producers on there. He actually won 2 Emmys.
Yeah, deservingly so, man. That All Access was something different, man. Is there any way? I don't know if you asked the question or not. Is there any way they bring that back?
Nah, that was a Showtime thing.
Oh, so that's Showtime exclusive.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was a Showtime. That was a Showtime series, and prior to Showtime, it was HBO had another thing, 24/7. That was a whole nother.
Yeah, 24/7. I remember the 24/7, but All Access was a lot better than 24/7.
They could bring it back with a different name than with
Yeah. That's what I was alluding to. Like, given the fact that he is the brains behind it, or at least producing it. Does he have plans to bring that out in another format?
But he was under the Showtime umbrella. So the Showtime team kind of put together the team that worked on, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
okay, got you.
You'll hear it more. You'll hear it more in detail of like what they actually had to work with resources versus, you know what I'm saying?
Facts. I can't wait to hear that.
The storyline. It wasn't just mainly just about boxing itself, but we got into it, and I asked him a couple things, and just getting a vision of how this shit works.
Yeah, no doubt, because like you said, not Not everything blows up, man. Some things, they fizzle before they even foam, and
Yeah, that's
just
true.
be a part of something that was that spectacular. Like it
Mm-hmm.
set the tone for the freaking fight itself. Like you
That's
got
what's up.
amped for the fight because of the goddamn thing.
Yeah,
And it looked like the fighters enjoyed it too, being on there. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah. You know what's crazy though? I was, because I kind of look at things in a kind of production mode or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
But for them saying Tank did a certain numbers, whatever the official numbers is going to be, right?
Right.
For what was given to him as far as I don't know if you want to say budget or effort, whichever one, to promote that fight, those numbers are really good. See, the old boxing fans remember when it was 1 million, 2 million for this person, or 1.2, and those numbers are over, right? So
Yeah.
you could relate
Nobody's doing that, right?
you could relate old boxing numbers to old record sales. Nobody's selling a million, going platinum first week. Those times are over. We're in the digital era
Mm-hmm.
now, right? So you need a certain amount of spins for you to even go gold, right? So let's say in the new era, Canelo is your platinum, and he's only doing like 500 after
Mm-hmm.
Triple G. That's his average, around 5. Tank is doing 3 something, 2 somethings, now getting into his prime. So he's like,
Good.
he's approaching Drake status where he's building and building, in the digital era. So the numbers that's given to prime now, he's at a peak. Like he's at the mean range of the low 2s, 3s, and then the 5s. So he's right in the middle. And Frank wasn't really nobody that people really generally knew.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new deal where he's at. So they don't know how much
Yeah.
to give a budget to where
Yeah.
sports goes.
Yeah, that was
And
the
they
first
haven't even
one.
allocated. Yeah, they haven't even allocated to where, all right, we're gonna put boxing on the main page or the first 3 pages as soon as you turn on your Amazon Fire Stick or whatever it might be. So they still getting the kinks out. So I think people just be trying to go crazy with, he only sold this amount of number. This is all a test drive. This is all it is.
Hey, Remo. Well, he did that with Frank, so what you hear, he's going to do better with Loma,
Well, yeah. Well, with anybody moving forward, that's a name.
Yeah.
If he
Be 50
consistently
with
gives
Frank.
names, yeah,
Mhm.
you keep giving names, the people will pay, but they're not gonna pay for what they don't want. That's all.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all. I don't know. But then they sneeze at those numbers, but there's nobody else up under that name that's gonna be giving those numbers. So he's still top 5 in the whole market
That's
of
right.
boxing individually.
Nobody else doing them. Mm-hmm.
But Bud ain't gonna do that.
Nope.
Who else is there?
Not even close.
We don't know. We don't know what Arrow gonna do. Arrow was kind of at the 300 range, but have people like forgotten about him? It's been a while, but they still believe in him. So you got Canelo, you got Tank, and then I don't even know what Joshua and them numbers do in the U.S. But they putting
Right.
on big cards, like with a plethora of people on the card and belt holders and all of that. So their numbers are skewed because they putting on mega cards and nobody even know, because nobody talks about it doing 1 million sold or nothing like that. So I don't know what the big holdup is.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Thomas Hill.
Yes, sir.
What's up with the Casuals Corner? I haven't seen the Casuals Corner in a while. You on that
It's
still?
impromptu. It's like spur of the moment, feeling type deal. I'm trying to get a slot segmented so that
Right.
we can devote time to have something more dedicated. Like Remo said, it's not easy, man. And then on top of that, you got the friction that we catch constantly with StreamYard, not StreamYard, but with YouTube. So
Oh yeah.
I think we're starting to find a little bit more leeway in Twitch. Might start going through Twitch, so that way, when we put up content, it will be something that people can go and check out. It won't cause no strikes or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just trying to figure out things and find out how we don't infringe upon whoever's rights or what they have set aside. But we got fights coming up, so there's always the They need to break down. And then you got narratives out there. And see, Ant is a big narrative killer, man. So everybody talks bad about Shakur now, and
Yeah.
Ant ain't about talking bad about nobody, but finding out what's the deal. So we might be going pretty soon on one of those. But I did leave some comments up in the comment section about possible shows. I don't know if they've been done already or these have been
For
posed.
me?
Yeah, I
For
did.
me? Okay. Yeah, I did one on. You left one. I think it was Cornerman. I did one on.
Well, I know you did Cornerman, but I didn't know if you did Cutman in particular. Just
oh no, I didn't do that.
Cutman.
That's right.
Yeah,
Cutman. That might be tomorrow then.
Yeah, I got the Cutman.
You went out, T Hill.
Got the history between boxing and the silver screen, the relation and the history between them. You know how, more than any other sport, boxing has like so many
different movies. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's true.
And then also the 15 round, the true championship rounds, and why they got rid of them. And then finally, the ones that was fought. You remember how they used to have the round was over when you knocked down somebody? And they could go all the way to 100.
Yeah.
100 rounds and whatnot. And the history of that too, man. So,
Yeah.
I put that up there.
They fought 110 rounds, and it started on Thursday and ended on Friday.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
crazy.
The referee said, "That's it." I gotta go.
If I could have one producer make a Mike Tyson movie, I would want Spike Lee.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
because he would know exactly where in Brooklyn to film and the grittiest parts, and he grew up in that era. So that would be like, if he could get it as good as he got Game, would be crazy.
Yes,
I believe he would get the true essence of Tyson as well too, man. And then to get the flip of Tyson who he is now too.
Yeah,
that would be something that I know he can definitely capture, man. I like Spike Lee. I've always liked Spike Lee, man. I thought he was. I know a lot of people give him flack, man, but I thought he always put great material out there.
Oh, he go way back.
T Hill, there is a Mike Tyson conversation tomorrow that you do not want to miss.
On Let's Talk Fashion.
Oh, I'm definitely there.
Okay.
I'm definitely there.
Yeah.
Do not want to miss when I say hilarious, oh my Lord.
You got to be there from the beginning, 10 a.m.
Yeah.
See, that's the great thing about being in the presence of somebody who has been in the presence of greatness, man. They have like stories that are freaking worth more their weight in gold, and actually give you a truer representation of what we only get glimpses of what these people go through, what they are, the things they've been through, and then we make snap judgments on stuff like that.
Right.
And Mike Tyson, man, for all intents and purposes, he carried boxing for a long time.
After Ali, it went down for a little dead period in the 80s. Mike brought it back, And
I'm telling you, during that time, it was some great fighters. But then you get this one fighter.
Right.
And it makes boxing it again.
Yep. That's what happened. You had the Four Kings and everything, but it didn't get back to that level until Mike came in there,
Well, the thing about that too, man, but after Mike came some great fighters and fights that were just being made, man. I know people talk about the Four Kings, but man, I swear to God that Mosley, that Trinidad, De La Hoya, Cortez, freaking Vargas, Winky Wright, man, all them fights, man, that was made, man, they fought one another, man, and it was great fights. And
but the only problem with that is that they couldn't figure out how to tap into the cultural stars.
For sure.
The only person after Tyson that culturally became like an icon was like Roy Jones, and then you had Mayweather. Because Roy knew how to play with that camera. Oh, and he also spoke about that. What makes a difference of a star?
Okay.
It's a lot of facets in there, a lot of gems, but you gotta know how to, when to, and when is your time. Approaching your peak and doing it in your prime is two totally different conversations.
That's right.
You might miss your mark. Your mark. These kids now, Shakur's and all these kids, they're trying to get there before it's too late.
Yeah.
That's all Shakur's doing. Shakur's kind of woofing because his window is closing on people buying into him. That's how you get the difference between BBO calling me an old head now and him being like 35. It's a small window of where the public is a disconnect.
No, that's a fact.
You think somebody did a better job with him than the Godfather, Remo? Does that matter?
For Shakur?
Yeah.
I think Shakur was like the test dummy.
Okay.
The first original Crash dummy was what you call it? Bud.
Yeah.
Because Bud didn't have the personality that Floyd had. But Floyd,
not at all.
He didn't want to pay up what Floyd was asking for. So he seen what Floyd became, but Bud had the talent but didn't have the personality.
Right.
Exactly. So now he got Shakur. Shakur has the talent along with the person doesn't really have the personality. He could use Shakur now as leverage to say, all right, go test the market. I don't have to pay you because your value is not high. But if you don't ever come back, I do have Abdullah Mason. I do have Keyshawn Davis. And Keyshawn got a big mouth on him, but he knows how to play with that camera. Abdullah, he's very, very young, and you can groom him, but he has the excitement that brings eyes to the thing. So
yeah, he get them knockouts.
So it's like he has, and they both black. So you know what I'm saying?
That's a good card. All of them on that card Saturday too. That's a good card.
So
very good card.
What they said, the cream will rise to the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the case. They're gonna try to raise the cream to the top, but without the headache. Shakur is the headache. Going back and forth, talking in the media publicly, and that's the problem with these kids. Just fulfill the contract, and we'll have a discussion after.
Yeah.
That's a fact. That is a fact. Cold hard fact. I think that's the one thing with Shakur that like a lot of people. I mean, initially it was the Devin Haney thing. That was the pushback for, him going at Devin Haney, challenging him and trying to get him before they had actually agreed to it. But then it became, well, you're talking a whole lot of good talk, but then when you go in the ring, it don't look like you always backing that talk up. And then it just became a spillover. Everything's been talking. A lot of times they just need to have somebody manage their Twitters, their Instagrams, and all that other stuff, because that's where they really lose a lot of people.
I know.
T-Hill.
Yeah.
Shakur's biggest mistake when he looks back on it, maybe 10 years from now, will ultimately be not taking that fight with Devin.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree, and I do believe like they were trying to lowball him because they didn't want him to take the fight. But sometimes you got to call bluffs.
Yeah, he still should have took it. Yeah,
take it. Forget the lowball from what that division has become.
Right.
And what kind of like the titles kind of cause everybody to get a certain pay rate, regardless of what the talent was. Kambosos got paid a certain amount. He got a contract from Bob off of being a title holder. He wasn't shit, but he had the titles.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Then Devin got overpaid on purpose because he had titles for a certain entity that he carried.
Yeah.
He
you gotta look down the road, man.
Yeah. So now Shakur's he's fighting. He's fighting for the attention that he wants, that he thinks his talent garnishes. He either took that risk
Yeah.
Remember, he didn't fight nobody notable ever since declining that.
And you're fighting somebody that you're very confident that you're gonna be able to go in there and handle in the ring.
It looked good against too.
To add on top of that, you are very familiar with that guy, just like Ryan was, because you've been in the ring with him several times.
Facts.
And it had nothing to do with Ryan being more talented, but there was no element of surprise. Ryan knew how fast he was, how hard he hit. I don't have to be 1,000. All I gotta do is touch him, and that's what happened.
Got him in the first round.
And then to add on to that, I mean, if truly you're trying to be the next Floyd, or you're trying to have something that parallels along what Floyd did, then that right there, taking the low offer, taking the offer stacked against you to become the person that makes the offers.
Yep.
Is what you do.
After Oscar. Exactly, T. Hill. Exactly. Yep.
That would have caused. If Loma wanted a shot, I got the belts. Come on, Loma. If Tank wants to be undisputed, I got 3 of them.
Yeah.
Come and get it.
That was a huge mistake. Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. That was a big mistake.
That's 4:00, man. Gentlemen,
yep, 4:00. Y'all was cooking so good, man. I didn't want to stop y'all. I said, let somebody else say it first.
Don't worry. I'm falling in line of the lineup. That's all.
Yeah, that was good.
Definitely appreciate you, big homie.
Yeah, definitely, man. Congratulations on the monetization, man. Congratulations on the platform doing well, man. And the box has put together.
The great name you gave me, man. It's definitely helping the box story, and it's different, you know. That catches people's attention.
But you're bringing acclaim to the name, bro. The name is nothing without the person.
That's
you, the person behind that name, man. You the drive behind it. So it's all you. The work you put in. That's all you.
Appreciate it.
You got people that just come in here and just listen to you. They don't do anything else but just listen to you.
Okay. Appreciate you, T. Hill. And
all
Remo.
Right, y'all be safe, man.
All right, yeah.
I see y'all at 4.
Okay. Yeah, we're going over to the voice. But don't forget, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, we got a good Let's Talk Fashion coming. And you got to be there at 10 a.m. You can't miss 1 minute of this one. Be there at 9:59. Okay? Let's Talk Fashion tomorrow. And that's Cast Sports for today. I done ran into the voice time a little bit. And he's not too mad at me. But I appreciate everybody for rocking with me once again. Tomorrow, I think it's going to be about cutmen, okay? I'm going to start getting it together right now while I'm listening to the voice. Appreciate everybody for rocking with me. I got to do this. Lonnie Lee, #JBT. J Hardcore, #JBT. Tim Layton, #JBT. Melanin Queen 27. BN Boxing News. Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. Mr. Gumbo, a.k.a. Hot Grease. Define RNA1. Appreciate you, bro. Glad you came back. I'll see you on the next one. Mike Mazik, salute Mike. Miss Cass, #JBT. And that fire panel. Let's Talk Fashion, Remo, and Thomas Hill. And don't forget, be at Let's Talk Fashion tomorrow, not at 10 a.m., 9:55 a.m., because it's going to be a good one. Just Do Boxing Party already in progress. Fast Sports. Everybody have a great day. I'm out.